Namaste. Welcome back to Mindful Surrender Yoga with Nancy. And today, once again, we're going to continue with the questions, trying to answer them in a 10-minute time frame from the jar. Now, I want to apologize if I'm not looking in the right place here. It's hard to look at this little webcam I have. I have a tendency to want to look at people in the eyes when I'm speaking to them, and even though I cannot see your eyes, I see my own on the screen, so I think I should be looking at my eyes rather than that little hole in the center of the camera. Anyway, that's why if my eyes go down, that I'm looking down, it's just because I'm trying to focus on the image on the screen. Eye-to-eye contact to me is so important. Anyway, so we will begin. I am going to set the timer, and then I'm going to reach in to answer a soulful question from the jar. I press the timer, and I'm reaching in down to the bottom. Let's hope it's a goodie. Okay. Michael Singer says that true freedom is freedom from self, not for self. Did I answer that? Did I answer that one already? Anyway, I'm going to answer it again, and then if I answer this one, can just be an extra video if I did. Michael Singer has been quoted as saying that true freedom is freedom from the self, not for the self, and a lot of masters will use that. Okay, what does it mean? Well, when we think about the self, we got to think of the true self and who we truly are beneath these personas that we've created, these ego minds, these personalized minds, these ideas of me mind, and what little me wants and doesn't want from life. That is the essence of it all. Who are we beneath all that? Who and what is the self? And the yogis will often use, and it's I think in the Gita too, they will use the capital S to explain self rather than the little s. That would probably be more in reference to this ego mind, this idea or mental concept we have of self. So we until we can reach that point of evolution where we are non-dual and we can live in a state of equanimity, we are constantly, I think we kind of, not constantly, but we kind of may benefit from seeing ourselves as having two things inside us. We have the self with the small s and the self with the big S. The self with the small s, like I've said, is our ego mind, our personalized sense of self, this concept we've created about who we are. It's the roles we play, what we own or don't own. We often equate with that the circumstances that are surrounding this form, this body and mind that takes up so much space on the planet. And, you know, for me, for example, it's only 5'4" feet of space that I take up. So what is happening around that 4'5" space that I've been allotted on this planet to experience life through? You know, I can own that as a part of my little self. It was B.F. Skinner that said the psyche is the sum of all our learned experiences. And all our learned experiences, all the memories we've collected, all the things we've experienced in life that we like, that we might have clung to, all the experiences in life that we might have resisted or been averse to and didn't like, that we are constantly going to try to avoid having to experience again. We stuff all these things inside us in what the yogis refer to as samskaras. And these samskaras block this flow of self with a capital S. So we are focusing most of our time and energy, for many of us, on this concept of who we are, on the little self with the little s, on the little me, on the ego mind, on the personal mind, rather than on who we really are with a capital S. Now, who we really are with the capital S, the self, the Atman, in Hindu reference it is called the soul, in Christian reference, is actually the only thing we can be, the only thing that is real. This ego we created, like I said, is just a mind-made entity. It is a concept, an image, an idea, a thought stream. a story, a narrative. It isn't who we are. It's just that we have as self, which is pure consciousness, pure awareness. We are actually that consciousness that is aware of everything that's happening to it and around it, that all things in this world have within them at different forms of vibrating energy. As a human being, our energy is fairly high compared to other species or other inanimate objects. But everybody has this sense of consciousness, of awareness, of energy flowing through us that equates to the self with a capital S. So I have this energy for me, for example, of awareness, the self, this pure, spacious energy, like the blue sky beneath where the clouds have been formed. So you remove the clouds, you have the blue sky. You remove the ego, you have the sense of true self, of who we truly are. So as an entity of self, true self, as consciousness, as that thing that flows through everybody, we are taking that power that we have as true self and focusing it down on these little mental concepts we created of the tiny self, or the little me, or the ego mind, with all its problems, all its likes and dislikes, all the things it wants from the world and is attempting to manipulate and to get, and all the things it doesn't want to have to experience again or for the first time by pushing away. And when we push away or resist, what we tend to do is push down, suppress and repress and hold on to and cling to in the form of some scaras that are inside of us. So as the true self, this consciousness, this sense of awareness, we have blocked all that we are from view because we are so distracted and so focused on, like taking the narrowest lens of a camera and focusing on something at the exclusion of everything else around it, at the exclusion of all the wonderful experiences in life and all the not so wonderful experiences in life, everything that life is. We are instead focusing on this thing we've created. And not only are we so narrowly focused on it, we're doing everything we can to protect it and to build it up and to keep it going, because we've got so lost in that focus, that we've come to believe that is who we are. So if that is who we believe we are erroneously, if that is all we're focusing on, we can't see that which is focusing on it, that which is the light that is shining on it, that which is who we really are, the awareness. So we've taken this wonderful power of awareness, the self, and we've focused it on this tiny little entity. So when Michael Singer says, freedom from self, not for self, when we suffer so much because of this entity that we call little me or ego or the self with the small s, which is all these problems, because when we want and we don't want, when we prefer, when we desire, that is the root of all our suffering, all our pain, all our discomfort, because what we're doing is resisting what is in order to be okay inside. And most of us, as these little me's, are not okay inside, because you can't be. You can never get enough as a little me. You can never have enough as a little me. You can never cope with life effectively as a little me. So in order to feel freedom, in order to feel that spaciousness once again, in order to fall back into self, we have to remove our attention from the little self. We need to get rid of it. We need to be free of it. And again, we're not harming anything by being free of the ego. We're simply removing our attention from it and doing our best, and it is a process, a spiritual process, of learning to focus once again on who we really are. As these so wrapped up in this idea that we are that which we're staring at, we have no idea what we're capable of as the true self. How much power we have, how much love is there, how much joy is there, how much freedom is there. That flow of true self is blocked by this idea, this veil of ego that we've created. So we need to remove the veil. We need to remove our attention from the ego in order to be free. So we are not gaining freedom for little self. We are, in a sense, gaining freedom for the greater self, only because we have removed our attention from that which never was, and we're attempting to place it back onto that which always was, the only thing that always was. And that is this consciousness and this awareness, which is the true self. So freedom involves freedom from self, not for self, not for the little self anyway. And it is a spiritual process. It is a quest that begins by just realizing that the way you've been focusing on your little self has been causing you suffering. That's where the suffering comes from. And once you realize that you don't want to suffer like that anymore, then you will begin the work of going inward to finding the true self and removing your attention from the very addictive and strong pull of the ego. Freedom from self, not for self. Well, that is my answer. As you can tell by the noise, I have outdone my time. Thank you so much for joining, and I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful July day. Namaste.